Hello, my friends. This is Paul, and welcome to A Calm Touch of Fantasy. I'm a little bit under the weather. I have a cold, but I wanted to put out a review for this week because I haven't put out anything since last week. So today's review is A Crucible of Souls by Mitchell Hogan. This is the first book in the Sorcerer's Ascendant series. So going into A Crucible of Souls, these are the few things that you should expect from this book. Number one, this is not really a groundbreaking fantasy book. This is similar themes, similar writing to a lot of other fantasy. Some people might think this is a little bit tropey, but I find it to be fun and a relaxing read. The story is about a young man named Calden. He is at a monastery. His parents were killed when he was younger, and he is now being raised by the monks at this monastery. When he has to leave this monastery, though, he gets a huge culture shock, and a lot of the things that he learned in the monastery, he finds out aren't necessarily true, and he's having a little bit of a hard time adjusting to what the real world is really like. The magic system in this book is fantastic. It is my favorite part of this entire book. The system revolves around crafting. Crafting is the ability to create an object out of many different types of material and put runes on those craftings, so then you can use your magic, your well, to imbue these items with magic and for them to do different things. The most interesting part of this to me was the use of paper to create little animals that they can then control to do what they want. I thought that was just a lot of fun and very cool. Mitchell Hogan reveals this magic system piece by piece, very slowly throughout the entire book. So it's just a fun, mysterious read in that regards, just learning about the magic system and what it can actually do, its limits, and what things Calden can do with it, where other people can or can't do. I just like discovering this magic system, and I thought it was the best part of the whole book. This book has a strong plot where the author keeps information away from the reader. This is a multiple POV book, but the majority of the book is from Calden's point of view. The other point of views are there so that we can understand the plot that is going on and the happenings around where Calden's at, but the scope of the book is still limited to a small area and a small group of people. The biggest thing is that Hogan wants to create questions for the reader, and he wants us to look for the answers while we're reading. And so he tries not to say a whole lot about the plot and a whole lot about this world, so that when information does come up, we can then put the pieces of this overall puzzle into place. I really enjoy fantasy like this. I've always liked fantasy that gave you just a little bit of information here and there as you're reading, instead of having a large info dump at the very beginning. This book has two-dimensional characters and weak female characters. Unfortunately, the characters aren't that great in this book. It's probably the weakest part of the entire book. So if you read books based off of the characters a lot of times you enjoy the book because of the character depth. This isn't one of those books. In fact, it's probably the opposite. Is they have the characters in this story are relatively weak, and the female characters are even more so weak. A lot of the female characters are only defined by being around the male characters, and that's something that hopefully in book 2 will be better. Overall, I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the mystery of the plot and the mystery of the magic and world building. I thought the pacing of the book was exceptional. I listened to this on audiobook, and the narrator was Oliver Weinman, and he was amazing. I thought he was one of the better narrators I've listened to. The thing that annoyed me the most about this book, however, was the horny teenager stuff. Way too often, our main character is saying things about other women's appearances, other girls' appearances, and it just seems out of place. Once in a while, okay, but it happened a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, and it's probably the worst part of the entire book. I think that combined with the weak female characters would not make this book something that a lot of more serious readers would read. So I think if those things would annoy you a lot, you probably would want to skip this. I found this book to be very similar to The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. The writing and prose isn't as good as Rothfuss' book. However, the world building and characters and the whole university, and with this book, the monastery and the Sorcerer's Guild, it all seemed very familiar, and there was a lot of correlations between both books. And so I think if you liked the magical aspects of The Name of the Wind, you would probably like this book. However, if you found Quoth to be annoying and you found Deanna to be annoying in The Name of the Wind, then you probably won't like this book either. Even though Kaladin is a better person than Quoth, like he's not as annoying, the character growth and building just isn't really that impressive. So check out this book if you like a mysterious magic system, a world building that's interesting, and more focus on magic and sorcery than maybe sword fighting. I would class this book around the same type of books as like David Eddings or Raymond E. Feist. Those are the type of books we're talking about when we're talking about something like this book. I will be continuing this series because I did really like this book and I want answers to the questions I have. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. For plot, I gave it a 4. For characters, I only gave it a 2. For world building and setting, I gave it a 4. For running style, I gave it a 3. And for the heart and mind aspect, I gave it a 3. For a total score of 16 out of 25, it just barely met the 4 out of 5 mark, so it's a low 4 out of 5. Thank you for watching this review, and hopefully I'll sound better in my next review. My next review will be for Midnight Tides by Steven Erikson. I am almost done with that book, and so that will be my next review. I will talk to you guys soon, and thank you for watching.